welcome to the first ever BriightCast.
Woo!
Yeah.
Exciting.
We've already filmed it, so this is the intro. And coming up, you're going to hear us talk about what we've been up to this week as an agency.
We're going to mention Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Van Damme gets a mention.
He does.
We're going to give plenty of insights and some tips through experience, but also, just thoughts.
Yeah, we look at where's the funny, why funny is needed in marketing and video, and
why it works, and we sort of discuss why people are scared of it and what they can do to sort of get past that as well.
And on that note, let's get started.
Go check it out. Do you want to do a lead in as well?
To it.
Are
Let's
we
go.
ready?
Here we are.
And I think on that point...
Boost. The very first BriightCast.
Yes, it's been a long time coming. The backdrop looks amazing. I can't believe how good it looks.
And for people listening, it's being filmed. So straight off the bat, we're tempting people to go to YouTube and watch this. Obviously, after they've subscribed to the podcast on their podcast listening devices.
Yeah, we should say this. We're a visual marketing agency.
Yep.
This is a podcast, so obviously we want you to look at something.
We sound good, but we also look good. Well, the background looks
Joe,
good.
do we look good?
No, we gotta...
But no one can see him. For the listeners and for the viewers, he's actually given us
yeah.
3
What a
thumbs
big
up.
smile.
What a guy.
So the structure of the podcast, we're going to start with what we've been on this week. There's a few things we run through, but we'll go through that as we go, I think. We don't need to explain it
I think
off.
this week as well, we've got quite a shared thing because our focus has been on the podcast and getting the first episode right.
Yeah.
Mentioned the backdrop, so we had to get that finished.
Looks amazing.
Jess did a lot of the work. I did a lot of the work.
It's nice that we did it in-house in terms of we've done everything for the podcast, sorted all the structure, the artwork, the trailer, obviously. We're producing it ourselves.
Yeah.
Also did the really nice backdrop ourselves.
Yeah, and we're making sure, when we were going into the minutiae of the detail of it, and then we realised we're using great cameras, so the background will be slightly out of focus, so no one will know anyway. We could have really bodged it and maybe finished a week ago.
To be clear, that's great cameras out of focus because we want them to be out of focus.
Yeah.
We should be in focus. If not, someone's getting fired.
Yeah.
So, podcast. I've got a question then on the podcast.
Okay.
Why do each of you think we're doing a podcast? And there's no wrong answer, but why do you think we're doing one or should be doing one?
6 months ago, you guys called this a podcast room, and I've honestly, right now, I'm just too afraid to ask why. So I'm here because of that reason.
Okay.
It's more, I think, for us, content creation. As an agency, we focus a lot on the content we create for clients, and we never really go into detail about what we do in the background, how we create things, the reasoning, the strategy behind everything. And I think it was a case of being able to sort of come down and film a weekly thing and kind of go through some topics people can talk about and listen.
Yeah, me too, actually. I take back my original answer. That as well.
Well, we come from different positions, don't we? So, I've been listening to podcasts since they were on vinyl. Jess, you've gotten into podcasts in quite a big way, especially this year, I think.
Yeah.
And Drew, you've recently discovered what podcast means. So we were all at different stages.
Drew listened to a couple before filming this, so he's kind of knows what they are.
But actually, to that point, so the reason I think I wanted to do the podcast was a few things around working here. We do things that I find interesting, and we have conversations I find entertaining, not always about the work, almost 50%, I would say, at least, not about the work. And they're interesting to me. Maybe others will. But definitely the stuff we do, I think, is interesting to people. And we work a lot with other business owners, and they will get some value from this, I think, anyway. And then because I've listened to a lot of podcasts and watched a lot of sort of YouTube content and content creators, I think we've got something different to bring to it as well. So I think it's the combination of those things in that actual value people can take away, but also the way we do it, partly our mindset, what makes how we do things a bit different, and then the content creation side where it's a bit laid back and, we mostly do things if it entertains us and gets results.
Yeah. I think my my reluctance to do a podcast in the past, because obviously you guys kind of had to persuade me to do the podcast. Like, you guys were definitely both up for it when I wasn't really either that up for it or just really understood the point of it, I guess. Because like you say, I don't really listen to that many podcasts. I only listen to a couple. And only really in the past year, I'd say I've really gotten into those few podcasts that I listen to.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's a mixture of imposter syndrome, Britishness, and just loss of objectivity.
Yeah.
Because I think the Britishness, the imposter syndrome, and the loss of objectivity combine, and they make you think that you don't really know what you're talking about, or the thing that you're talking about isn't of value, or the thing you're talking about, everybody already knows.
Yeah.
But then you watch loads of like tutorials, vlogs, listen to podcasts, and you hear people say things. You're like, well, I knew that.
Yeah.
Or, oh, okay, I didn't know that. But that sounds like a really simple thing. But either way, like the outcome of it is like, I think I do actually have something I could talk about here.
Yeah. We train a lot of people here. Like, we have a lot of youngsters come. We have work experience come and work. And please, no more people apply. We have plenty. But part of that is it's cumulative knowledge, isn't it? It's cumulative knowledge that you've obtained, and then you sort of take it for granted. And
yes.
I heard a great response to imposter syndrome recently, which is, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Everyone feels it. Moving on. In setting this up, we did a few mini tech run-throughs. None of them worked.
Yeah.
But
And I wasn't even here for 2 of them.
we learned why they didn't work, and we were pretty confident, we won't do that again. So
It was more, it was more, of course, audio with video is important, but it was more in terms of like, we've never filmed a podcast before. We've never had this level of audio equipment, I would say. Like, we have good video mics, but in terms of like actual podcast equipment,
Yeah, it's a different setup.
yeah, so we've done a lot of research into it. We've bought new equipment, we've bought new mics, obviously, to try and...
Oh yeah, I don't know if people have seen this. A bit of a plug, obviously, for the YouTube channel again, but we did a daily. We do Bright Dailies, and one of those was basically on the failure of the first tech run through, because we're going to go into our F8 field recorder. It's got a bunch of different inputs on it, so we're going to go straight into there. It died. Then we're going to go into a little audio interface that we've got. Couldn't find the power supply.
Yep.
So I had to order the Rodecaster, which Joe's currently on the Rodecaster, and it's loads better. It's amazing.
I think it's just one of those things where it's like, even people that are good at content creation, I'd say we're good at content creation. Like, there's still a field of like, there's so much knowledge that we can still learn like from it.
yeah, you're always learning. We've got a real learning mindset here that I think everyone that works here has and shares, which is great. I think that moves us on to like sort of lessons we learned in setting this podcast up then. One is get the equipment right. Now, I don't think you need to invest perhaps as much as we have, but ours is quite a complicated setup. It's a 3-person thing.
Decorated the room, kitted the room out and stuff.
Yeah.
Furniture, all that jazz. You don't need to go to that extent necessarily.
Yeah. Content of the podcast should be king. We happen to be visual marketing, so we have an added pressure of making it look good and better than, other people's.
Yeah.
So that's why we went to the extent we have. So, but other people wouldn't do that. But what other tips do you think you would give people if they're wanting or thinking about setting a podcast up?
Think about a format. So in your podcast, what value are you actually going to give?
Yeah.
Like who you're marketing to, who you're targeting with this podcast, and what those people are actually going to get from it. So is it value based? Is it tips and tricks? Is it more insights into an agency? I guess for us it is a mixture of all of those things. Like, it's an insight into what we do on a daily basis. It's insights into projects. But yeah, it's just about finding that, like, what are you going to talk about? Like, you can't just ramble for an hour and expect someone to listen to that. Someone needs to be able to think, oh, I listened to that podcast last week. Oh, I learned this thing, or I found this interesting, or I'm going to go away and find some more on that, or that was really value-based or worth listening to.
Because I think that's how I get into podcasts.
Yeah.
For those topic things and for those formats. But then you do get to know the people.
Yeah.
And, you get to like them and listen to them and things like that.
Letting your culture shine through is probably one of the things that's most important as well. Like, you can have good content, but if someone doesn't enjoy listening to, like, the conversations you're having or the way you get that information across, I guess.
Yes. Drew, tips that you've learned being a relative newbie.
Yeah, I would say ask me next week and I'll give you more tips. Right now, I think it's just one of those things where it's just a do it mentality.
Yeah.
So you and I were going to do a podcast with another guy we know, several years ago because we had a film that was about to be picked up as a feature film and was potentially going to star Jean-Claude Van Damme as the lead actor. So we were going to do a podcast to track the production, the pre-production, production, post-production of it. It didn't happen.
No.
Neither did the podcast.
No.
But one big thing I learned was to not keep saying, wait, has it started now? So wait, can we start again? Sorry, can we mulligan that? Can we go back again? Because it's all I kept saying because I didn't understand the point of the podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it was a conversational piece. It's conversation, like you were saying, Jess, there's structure and stuff involved. There's, structure, there's points you want to hit, there's value you do want to give, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's personality, it's conversation. Like, nobody just wants to hear you run through a presentation.
Yeah. It's not a PowerPoint, is it?
But if we're chatting about other stuff.
Our mind has very much been on the podcast, though, hasn't it, this week?
Yeah.
What I liked about that story, though, is so it sounds like we sort of invented these personas of having listened to a lot of podcasts, listened to a lot recently, not really listened to much. But then you gave a great evidential example of, I've even been on a podcast and I didn't know then I was still a newbie.
Yeah.
And that's good. Objectivity that Drew's going to bring to it, like a bit of an outside perspective.
Yeah, definitely. So the next section of the structure is something called Bring a Thing. It's where each of us will bring something creative that we've seen in the week that has given us inspiration, that we've taken like tips from, maybe something that's inspired us, or something we've just found really cool. Something, it could be videos, could be imagery, it could be ads.
Yep.
Anything you want to bring. Do you want to
Nice.
go first, Rob?
Yeah, so this is an actual Bring a Thing that neither of you know about, but recently I subscribed to 2 online courses. One of them is a happiness course. And the reason really is it's kind of related to our main topic later, is in that report, there's a really scary sort of stat where of all the, I think it's 16,000 people that were canvassed for this research, apparently in the last 2 years, only 49% of those people answered that they feel like they felt true happiness in the last 2 years.
That's crazy.
It's through pandemic and stuff, but 49 people. And when my mind works, when I read something like that, I ask those questions of myself. And then I thought, okay, I'll do this course. And so my actual Bring a Thing is Harvard Business School are doing free courses for a little bit. One of them is this. Another one I've signed up for is a niche sort of management course, leadership course, which is quite cool as well. But a happiness course. I think the aim of it is to ask questions about where and how you can feel happier, and then sort of tap into that when you're unhappy, a bit of emotional intelligence, that kind of thing, and then maybe that can help me be a better leader as well.
Are you feeling happier now?
So I've only done one at the 2-hour session, so I can get my smile to here.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
and
impressive.
for people listening, it's I'd say it's a half smile. You're getting there.
Yeah.
It's like it's broken wind.
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah, so happiness course was my Bring a Thing. Oh, well, sorry, Harvard Business School online is my Bring a Thing. Interesting, you can do a lot of the courses for free, but if you want a certificate proving you do the course, you have to pay about 150 quid.
Will you feel happier after that?
My smile will be my certificate.
I guess they'll be happier.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So you are spreading happiness still.
So that's my Bring a Thing.
Yeah, nice. Jess, you feeling happy?
Happier. No, Rob's happy. I'm feeling happier.
That's nice. I'm the exact opposite.
Oh. Do you want to go next, Drew?
Yeah, I've brought BPM, and it's bullets per minute. It's a game by a company called Or Interactive, and our connections to those guys kind of go way back. We did some video game stuff for the director of the company ages ago when he was part of a different company.
My first that was my first job.
Yeah,
working with you in a corporate video environment, really, and it was mainly because I had a car big enough to get equipment in that could drive to France,
and you had a drone,
and I had a drone,
yeah. So it was when Future Proof kind of had just started, and criteria to become a director at the company was car and drone, and you ticked both of those boxes. But yeah, we did loads of work for him, and then he left that company, started Or Interactive, made a game called BPM Bullets Per Minute, and we've been working with them, doing their trailers for the past couple of years, I'd say. Yeah. But the latest one is for Nintendo Switch. It's for the Nintendo Switch release. It's out now already, and it's published by Platonic Games, who did Yooka-Laylee, and they've got connections to like Banjo and Kazooie, if you're like an old school gamer. But yeah, we did BPM, we did a trailer for them, and it was a Nintendo Switch one, and this one was a different one. in the sense that all the others previously have just been game footage, whereas this was actual live footage as well. And I loved it. I thought it was great. We did it actually in here,
in this room.
Before the backdrop was there. We had this set up as like as if it was a front room. We had Molly Goods, the actor. She basically played Switch all day, or appeared to play Switch all day.
Yeah, we had to fake a lot of it.
Had to fake loads of it, but yeah, it was great. We had effect shots, some cool transitions in there. Just a really good shoot day, and then just really pleased with the outcome, really.
Yeah. And they were, and it's it's on the Nintendo store now, and people can see it and things like that.
Yeah.
What I think was good is because it was for the previous ones were gameplay only footage. This one suited the sort of live element of it because it was Switch, so there was motion control. You can play it, handheld, Joy-Con. So I think with the others, it wouldn't have had that narrative for a start, but
no,
for there, showing the gameplay was priority, and rightly so.
I mean, it came out to start off with on PC. As a PC gamer, I don't think people want to look at people like me, so it makes perfect sense it was gameplay only. Brilliant.
Yeah, because they wouldn't believe it, because, handsome guys shouldn't be gamer nerds. I get it.
Yeah.
Jess, your bring a thing?
I've got something to show, which obviously on a podcast, but on the video we'll pop it up.
Yep.
It's some Monopoly ads that have basically been going around. They've been quite popular on LinkedIn. And it's mainly about using emotion in marketing. So Monopoly have kind of created...
I'm guessing it's happiness, right? The main emotion? Monopoly?
I don't think you've played Monopoly.
It's the opposite. So
you're just a winner.
The kind of ads they've created is using kids, because obviously Monopoly is more targeted to families and with kids. And it's kind of using that stressful emotion you have when playing a Monopoly.
If you're a family without kids, you can still play Monopoly. I don't know why Jess is gatekeeping that. Crazy.
So they've got like messaging where it's like Monopoly for learning how to calm down, Monopoly for dealing with a setback. So it's kind of positioning that emotion that you kind of feel, that anger, or like, but putting it as like a learning curve rather than like positioning it as a negative.
Yeah, it's L&D, a bit of a rite of passage for children.
Yeah.
But but it's basically using emotion in marketing. So it's basically tapping into that, like the emotion you're feeling when you're playing that. Everyone, like you say, everyone's felt that when playing Monopoly.
As well.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a universal thing, isn't it? So I think having that, everyone understands it.
It'd be a good writer's tool, because it's one of those things where how characters react in those situations informs you about those characters. So quite often they'll do it around a dinner table, and that's how to establish how the characters are.
But I have actually seen one of those, and I saw like all the comments were like, "Oh, totally. I've got a couple of kids at home, and we play it, and we have this exact same." But of course they do. Everybody does.
Yeah.
I don't know any family who enjoys playing it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I like playing it, but I like the drama and the tension you get from the game.
Yeah.
Whereas my wife does not like playing it at all. Hates it. We'll do a team Monopoly day one day.
I'm excited.
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Let's
see who's still here for the next podcast. I like it.
So moving on slightly, each week we're going to have a main topic which we've done some background research on, and we kind of come together and talk about what value we can bring from it, some tips we can give to listeners. So this week, I think Rob picked the topic for this week.
Yeah,
and
it's where's the funny? So, and this has been on my mind forever. So we attract quite a few clients because stuff we do is humorous for ourselves mostly, but we've done it for some clients, but they come to us because of that, and they would like to do that, and there's actual science why they should want to do that, but then they sort of get a bit scared. So the report that came out, do you have the authors of it?
So it's a new research report from Oracle Fusion Cloud Customer Experience and Gretchen Rubin.
Yes, I believe it's Dr. Gretchen Rubin. Might not say it there, but I think it is. Funnily enough, heard her on a podcast fairly recently.
I think the main stat that kind of stuck out was that 91% of brands want to be funny.
Yes.
But 95% are scared to be funny.
Of like the
CEOs,
CEOs and decision makers are scared to be funny. But the reason they want to is what the research shows, which I think it was around 80% of people value, that they rebuy, they become brand advocates, and basically spread the word.
Yeah, 72% would choose a brand that uses humour over the competition that doesn't.
So even the initial decision making
Yeah.
based on that, which doesn't surprise me. Does it surprise any of you?
No, it doesn't surprise me.
But even if you think about your own experience with brands and the brands you like funny stands out to me, and it's an emotion I think that people enjoy.
Yeah, I watched like a 20-minute Mint mobile ad with Ryan Reynolds in a country where Mint Mobile doesn't exist, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Purely because it was Ryan Reynolds. And I was like, oh, this is going to be hilarious.
Yeah, yeah,
Didn't mean anything to me. Just
Yeah.
wanted to watch some Ryan Reynolds, that's all.
yeah. And you're spreading the word.
Yeah, Mint Mobile, guys. And that brings us on to our segue of today's
Today's
sponsor is Mint Mobile.
So the main reason to bring the topic up was not necessarily to say, people should be funny, but why do you think 95% of CEOs are scared of being funny in the first place?
I think it's that they don't understand necessarily what funny is. I don't mean that in a way of like they don't know what makes them laugh or they don't know what makes the people around them laugh. I think it's that like CEOs might not find what their target audience finds funny.
Yeah.
So say if their target audience is a completely different like target segment to themselves or their team or the board members, particularly the people that make the decisions, when a marketing person comes to them or agencies like ourselves or even internal marketing people like come up with this idea that's funny, then pitch it to these board directors. If they don't find it funny, like they don't think it's right, so it's like when they say they're scared to be funny, I think it's more about the fact that like they don't understand the humour that they're putting out, or they don't understand like, or they think it's too far. They think it might offend people, or they're scared to offend, not offend people necessarily, but like they think it will when it won't, because their target audience again is a completely different segment to themselves.
Yeah. So I think there's two things in there. There's sort of like misdirected. So I guess when you think of every like commercial gone bad, it's normally a joke that's not landed or it's misinterpreted or something like that. So they're probably aware of those and they're worried about that. And then the other one really was about how do you pitch up to that level? So, you go into a room with 10 people, senior level, only 5 of them find it funny. Should that be why you shouldn't progress it up and go to the CEO and get their decision? It's that's probably a stumbling block as well.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a kind of moot or silly point in favor of them not going with funny.
Yeah.
As in like, I think it's an odd thing to have to, win over a room of people with 100%, unanimously win them over with a joke, because like we've had it before, we've pitched ideas to people. We deliver something or we pitch on something that we think is funny. Yeah. But then one person within that kind of board or something doesn't like it, so it just gets written off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need one person who thinks Mrs. Brown's Boys is hilarious and you're fucked. Doesn't matter how funny you are.
Yeah.
If that's the level of humour they're into.
Today's non-sponsor
is Mrs. Brown's Boys, which won like best comedy or something, didn't it?
Of the like decade or something.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Like that. Crazy.
But I think it is that thing of being disruptive. Like we pitched for and worked with a company not that long ago, and they came to us.
You can say their names. So we're going to, anyone we've worked with, we'll bleep out their name, because we might dive into, we will dive into statistics and returns and things like that.
Well, we worked with and they came to us wanting to be this disruptive company. They're in the L&D community, and
we're bleeping the entire bit out.
And they came to us basically wanting to differentiate themselves from the market. Basically, their market is quite bland, like as a whole, like
which should be so easy to do.
Like
and I enjoy it because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to push the boundary slightly to stand out.
It's not creative agencies trying to like disrupt. They're already by nature being disruptive.
Yeah. So we pitched a load of things and they went with us, and we started doing the work for them. And then all of a sudden, when we started actually creating the content that we pitched and they loved, it was like, we're pushing it this far, or we're doing this. It's like, well, you said you wanted this, like you wanted to be disruptive, you wanted to push this boundary a little bit. We can be disruptive. We can have guys with one button undone. They don't need to wear full suits.
So their idea was disruptive was boardroom. Aim it at, so we can have 50-year-old boardroom people.
I don't want to say I'm disruptive, but I'm ready to take this up another level.
But it's like they don't even. okay, they do have to have their jackets on, but they don't need to wear a tie, and they can have
Yeah.
a button undone.
They could have their tie off, but let's have a clock behind showing that it's still only midday.
Yeah.
Outrageous.
Like, I understand people have their target market, and their imagery kind of needs to portray that. They need to sort of show. They're not going to show, say, teenagers if they're aiming at 40-year-olds. Like,
but they had identified they want to move on and modernise.
But they modernised it, and also, again, you don't need to show your target market in that imagery. But it was more when we're moving away from that. It was like, oh no, but we need to still show these people.
Yeah.
So how do you show people in suits, like with bland colours that they don't want to also change?
Yeah.
If you want to be disruptive, there has to be a mark.
We should have done a before and after, and just get models with 50-year-old models with their tie on, and then just slightly loosen down.
loose.
I think that's when I first heard you mention, and I don't know if you penned it. I'm going to give you full kudos for this, and then it's probably going to come out that Shakespeare did or something.
It's probably me.
But branding.
Yeah.
Branding, like I'd never heard that before, but it just perfectly fit, and it was so sad because we were doing the blanding, but we wanted to do branding, and all of a sudden we're being pushed to do blanding instead.
Yeah,
like it's just bland branding. If anybody didn't understand the portmanteau there,
yeah, and I mean, eventually we stopped working with the client because after a few months there was too many. Like we had to push back, and wasn't really getting the trust in our ability to deliver, and so.
It was as well, like, we want to be creative. Like, we're creative people. Like, we want to be...
That was the frustration. We spotted that opportunity in their sector to really drive it, and then didn't.
Like, we're a visual marketing company. Yeah. Like, of course, like, visuals is such a key thing to us, and we love creating them. And don't get me wrong, not all branding needs to be as, like, our branding's, like, crazy. Like, compared to some companies, like, our branding is very out there. But not all branding needs to be like that. But it also doesn't have to be blanding. Like, you can still be corporate, but not have like shit branding.
We work with loads of companies in sectors that aren't as wild as us because they don't need to be.
Oh definitely.
And their stuff works really nicely. But also, I think with jokes landing, so a few things. So I think CEOs, to give them their credit, they must be aware of the results of humour within advertising. They must know about it. It's why each year at the Super Bowl, it's famously like the most expensive commercial spaces you can buy. They all tend to be humorous, and they all have the actors of the moment or a throwback to an actor, and they all tend to be humorous. Some end up being quite predictable humour. But I have an example of one that I loved, which has been really disruptive in that I recently watched a video on why they got it wrong, and the company's Oatly. I don't think we need to bleep this because we're about to show it, but it was a video that says why they got it wrong. But everything they said they got wrong, all the comments are like, "This is exactly why we love this brand." So it was the divisive element. It's like to be loved, you also have to be hated a bit.
Yeah.
Just roll it.
It's like milk. Made for humans. It's like milk, but made for humans. Wow, wow, no cow. No, no, no. Wow, wow, no cow. No, no, no. Wow.
I don't understand. So you said that people didn't like it, but the majority of the audience loved it, but people said that it didn't work well.
Yeah, so I think it was a marketing exec making the video that said this is why this advert didn't work. Like a traditional marketer, I think, who works in advertising.
I thought it was a great simple
I
advert.
don't get how anyone could be offended from offended.
It's a bit weird. Like people are going to remember it. It is funny.
It just says no cow. It's got no cow in it. It's oat milk.
Yeah, milk for humans.
Yeah,
not for cows.
Yeah, there's no cow.
Yeah, and that's the CEO singing it as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, but you could definitely see how if you like he's the CEO, so it's fine. But if you're pitching that idea,
here's what I don't get. Okay, so where's the funny?
Yeah,
it's pitching, humorous ideas, entertaining ideas to people, and then the point of this section with us talking about it is that people reject it, even though widely they know that they love it. People still reject it because they're scared or they don't understand it for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
But then you look at like a car advert. Oh, no, sorry. I saw a kitchen advert yesterday. I think it's like a kid running through a field, then an owl chases him.
Yeah.
and then it cuts to an outside shot looking into a kitchen, and then it just said the kitchen maker's name.
Yeah.
I don't understand what happened. So I can't imagine somebody pitching this going, yeah, so basically this kid runs through a field and a barn owl chases him. And then we're outside looking in at a family eating as if we're going to go in and just kill the whole family.
Yeah.
Cut, title, your name.
Magic.
Hey.
And then people going, yeah, I actually love that idea. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But then not liking, oh, it's the CEO doing a catchy little song about how there's no dairy in this dairy-free oat milk. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, if someone does do a kitchen ad where people watch inside and then go in and kill them, I think that'll be remembered. I think that would work.
Oh, I think it would be
Yeah.
great if it was outside looking in at this family and it's set up as if it's like, one of those like families that are all just, it's going to sound like my family doesn't smile. One of those families who smiles all the freaking time, okay?
Yeah.
And it's like all outside shots. Then people go in, kill them, bloodbath.
Yeah.
The next day, they have a cleaner. It's a massive house. They got a cleaner. They're doing all right. Cleaner goes in, wipes everything really easily, cleans really well. So like it's the advert for like,
What's the kitchen towel?
Dettol.
No.
Yeah, it could be a cleaning thing.
No, the kitchen towel where it's like bang and the dirt is no.
Fill it bang.
No, not that. Isn't that? I know I
Bounce.
just said that.
Is it
It's like
bounce?
one sheet does plenty.
One sheet.
One sheet
Wait,
does plenty.
there's another brand that say bang and the dirt is gone.
I said the wrong slogan.
Because I think that'd get rejected. I think I've heard of that from our competitors. I think.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's try and find a client. Let's try and pitch an
Yeah.
idea. If you're if you make cleaning products or kitchen tiles, floorboards, anything like that, and one of your USBs is ease of cleaning, we would like to speak to you.
What I like about that is it speaks to our ambition. So we have put no podcasts out, but already we know there's going to be like a good brand with loads of money to spend on a TV ad. We're not even just pitching social
I didn't
content.
say good brand or loads of money.
Okay.
To be clear,
Drew's doing it for free.
guys, I need exposure.
But so I guess the examples we've used, Super Bowl, TV ads, really, TV commercials. But even just online advertising is guilty of it. I think it was like, of all those that use it, only 81% or something don't use any humour in there. No, sorry, I think it's 79%, and we'll check the numbers on this, but 79% of their ads, the people that were questioned online, don't contain humour. And you'd think online, like, it's the wild west in many ways, but also that's how you get attention.
A lot of B2C brands have kind of made it their like tone of voice now. It might be Oatly. I can't remember who it is. Saw some Twitter posts recently.
We could do with freebies from another company. So if it could be a different company that we could get freebies from. Oh, it might have been Ferrari.
Might have been Porsche.
Greg's. I think it was Greg's.
Okay.
It could have actually been Greg's. But it was a B2C company that did like food or like that type of thing. I think it might have been a donut place.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway,
I
it
think
doesn't
at this
matter.
point we don't need to.
It doesn't matter. But they've changed their tone of voice where it is more like conversational. It's got a humour to it. Like Ryanair's TikTok, like it's blown up. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
But like their TikTok is like one of the most well-known TikToks at the moment, like TikTok accounts. And all of it's humour. All of it.
I heard an interview with a guy who's leading that campaign, or has been for about a year, and they're building it. And they do have a pretty good strategy in place. And he said before there was no real strategy. And so that's what he's worked on for most of this year. And I think it was on the Social Minds podcast. And it's, Ryanair being a bit of a bastard.
Yeah. And it's more like, why would most people on TikTok, teenagers, should I say? I'm not like
I go on TikTok.
But I'm not singling out everyone, but like
Every time we mention
that also
TikTok.
isn't my demographic, guys.
For listeners, I'm doing a cool hand sign right now to indicate how young I am.
I was wearing a cap. Now it's backwards to indicate I'm also young.
That is also
hip.
not my demographic.
Okay. Teenagers.
But it's appealing to them. It's appealing to people that like 18, 19, 20 people that are going on holiday, like the first like lads holiday. It's like they're remembering that thing. It's I'll have a check on Ryanair.
They're targeting people who don't yet know that Ryanair are going to rob them. So they're like, let's get these guys. They don't know that we can just like get loads of extra charges from them.
We
Yeah.
don't want to get sued by Ryanair.
So
Today's sponsor is also Ryanair.
interesting on that interview with the main marketing guy. He said what I liked is they're very keen on experimenting. So they don't have too much internal debate about what to put out. They say let's put it out and then let's see how it performs. And a lot of it is about sort of subverting a lot of people's complaints and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But he did admit that there's occasions where they go too far and where there is actually a genuine complaint that should be fixed for quality. They shouldn't make fun of that. So I think that's true. So, but I think you can be funny and provocative, but also be aware of.
So
when you go a bit far.
on the topic of provocative, and I think we might end up just doing this as another topic down the line, because this isn't where's the funny. I think this is the provocateur version of marketing.
Yeah.
But have you guys looked at, is it not Shake Shack, Radio Shacks, like Twitter? Obviously, we don't have a Radio Shack here. It's an American thing.
No.
But have you if I said Radio Shack.
Get it up. I know of it through, popular media.
But if I said Radio Shack, what would you think?
They pop up in American sitcoms a lot.
So it's like you go and buy like a hi-fi,
Yeah,
or back in the day you go and buy a DVD player or something.
Yeah, and there's always like in Atypical, I think he works in a place that's like Radio Shack or something
This
like that.
is the type of tweets that I was
Just
talking
for me,
about.
let me have a look.
I was talking about with this other brand, this B2C brand. It's very like Gen Z. It's very like someone in like a Gen Z has been given the Twitter account.
It feels
and
like
they're
they've
just,
been hacked. It feels like
yeah.
the intern's on his last day, and they're just like, you know what, fuck him. Like some of the tweets, genuinely, you just think they've definitely been hacked. They must have been hacked.
What do you think led to it?
So they basically pivoted, I think, and went more into like the cryptocurrency world.
Yeah.
Right.
And because they've gone into that crypto world, they've gone for like the crypto bro demographic.
Oh,
It
wow,
definitely
look at the name,
seems
yeah.
like it.
Radio Shack, ETH, BNB chain, yeah.
It feels like I'm reading someone's personal tweets, not as in like their private tweets, as in like it's a personal account. Like I don't feel I'm reading a brand that's verified as well.
What I sort of hope
account.
has happened, and this isn't for me, of course, but what I kind of hope has happened is maybe they didn't use Twitter much at all, and they just said to people like, "Let's just go blow it up."
Yeah, I mean, as someone from the UK who hasn't, it's not Argos. We don't know it loads. Like, there's no history for me for it, so I don't really understand. Yeah, like what happens. I only really hear about it in like films, TV shows, like you say. Anyway, but then to suddenly like stumble across it like one random night on Twitter.
Yeah,
it just
that's why you
felt dead
retweeting
weird.
it all.
I'm just saying, like, how far, like, we don't need to share the tweets, but how far do you go in that point of, like, I understand we've just been talking about, like, you're not obviously going to be funny for everyone. If you try and make your marketing great for everyone, you're marketing to nobody. If you market to everyone, you're marketing to no one.
Hey, maybe we're
'Cause it's
guilty
not.
of what we've been saying. Maybe we're the CEOs right now.
I mean,
Not
I
finding this
definitely
funny.
can't see that. What does it say?
It says,
So don't do edibles and manage a brand's social media. Just DM'd Kim Kardashian. So I've just done drugs. I'm managing a social. Like, how far do you go where like that's just tarnishing a brand?
you know what's weird about that? It feels like an AI's done that. It feels like an AI's scoured something like Reddit for popular words.
Yeah,
and
or is
put
it
them together?
Yeah, or is it like the fellow kids type meme?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're
But
just crazy.
maybe right now, pop a pin in it. Let's bank this,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
let's
We can
chat
come
about
back
it
to
like
that.
more because it's a really interesting thing to like
Yeah.
look at and discover as well. I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it's provocation. We're not finding it funny.
That's the thing. When I read it, it was like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
found it like kind of outrageously funny. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, let's pop a pin in it. Let's come back.
Okay, so to bring it to a little bit of a close, what sort of tips would you give to businesses that are looking to, say, introduce funny into their marketing and branding?
Great question.
So obviously, the whole of this chat has been talking about how people need to be daring and people need to be out there. Obviously, for some people, that just isn't the case. Some people don't need to have humour. Sometimes you don't want humour. Sometimes it's the antithesis of that you want, which is fine. For instance, COVID happened immediately. All of the adverts that came out were all identical somber adverts.
Yeah.
But even though they became, you know, a little bit predictable and people ended up like memeing them and all that jazz, right at the very start, I don't think people necessarily wanted to see a lol take on COVID. So at that point in time, that made sense, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's obviously a time and a place. So we're saying all this stuff about people needing to be daring
Yeah.
and stuff. It's not all the time.
No,
obviously.
we've done plenty that's not. I think of things like where it was about companies failing and liquidation and the process of how to liquidate your own company.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very sad time.
Yeah.
I think
you know.
it is about that, like, knowing your target audience. So boiling down to the fact that, like, even creating personas where it's like, oh, this is the ideal client that we're after. And then looking around, like, what they like to read, what they like to look at, what marketing they seem to be like, what adverts that persona likes. And then looking at, like...
Well, I think that will reveal if they would respond to humor, right? And but let's rather than do a persona thing, let's say their persona does match and there's room within a brand for humor. How do they get that going?
It's tough, isn't it? I don't know how to give a succinct tip to this, to be honest, just because it's like writing comedy is incredibly hard. Writing any genre can be difficult depending on the genre you're writing.
I think it's the hardest. I do.
Writing comedy is hard. Writing a joke, you know, I do it all the time where I think I've cracked a very funny joke and it's not at all.
Yeah.
And you guys really let me know, which is nice.
But I think writing a joke is a good way to start, or writing a funny premise or something funny, introducing humor to a funny situation or a situation and introducing something funny.
Yeah.
Because even though it's not right, because it's hard to write, you need quite a lot of run-throughs and edits and re-edits of it.
I've got some tips then in that sense. Then obviously some people fail at the humor side because it's just not funny. And for that, I guess they need to, you know, widen their comedic vocabulary or something. Yeah. And they need to have more of an appetite for funny, digest and eat more funny, take in more funny, and then they might be able to put out more funny. The other thing is, does your joke attack a specific group of people? Yeah. If it does, it's probably shit. Yeah. Does your joke attack a vulnerable set of people, a protected class of people? If you do, it's probably shit.
Like sea turtles.
Like sea turtles, exactly.
See? That's a little joke put in there.
It's like, I mean...
No, I get the point,
because then everyone starts going into all the, you know, freedom of speech, all that stuff.
I guess the joke should be good-natured. Within marketing, really, it should be good-natured.
Yeah. And then I had a third point, but I can't remember it, but I think telepathically you know it, so you're about to finish it off.
So I think you were going to say a good place to start is if you find it funny.
Yeah.
If you find the thing funny, then you can write it and probably communicate it to be funny.
That is what I was going to say.
Yeah. So I think that's a double-edged sword. I think that's the type of thing where, like you could get it peer reviewed. It's more like
I have to do that now.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll write quite a reflex post from my personal account. I'll be like, guys, just check this over. Yeah. Recently, you said too much dong in one of the ones I said, so I had to change that.
Yeah, you dialed down the dong.
I dialed down the dong, and it was all right.
But yeah, I think that is a good place to start, though. Like,
for anybody listening, we can see the post now of...
if you or your colleagues or your peers...
I think it's a good place to start.
Yeah, it's a good place to start.
And then think of it from a marketing point of view. Is the messaging clear? It's funny alongside of it and what you're trying to achieve with it. Yeah,
okay. So to wrap it all up then in a nice tight little bow, I think we're saying people do need to be generally more daring because people widely acknowledge that they appreciate and love and also react to humor in a positive way in ads, in marketing, in content,
the research
just in general media. Yeah, perfect. But then within that, there's obviously some instances where humor shouldn't be used. And in those instances, I guess they should just be clear. Like, they should just be clear, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to be provocative, then I guess just tread bravely but cautiously. Yeah. Which it sounds like, an oxymoron. But I think you want to be daring in what you're saying. It could pay off really, really well. But at the same time, you want to be cautious in what you're doing because what you don't want to do is you don't want to just offend. Yeah. That's not going to be great for anybody.
And then opposite to that is don't be afraid to try it. Try and be funny, experiment with it. No know how you're set it up as an experiment. So you sort of predicting results, where to go, and then did it outperform?
From words from a wise man who sat here, ABT, always be testing. Always have experiments running.
A/B testing, always be testing.
ABT.
Write, rewrite, and rewrite. Look for spaces and opportunities to inject some funny. Don't cloud your messaging.
Yeah, okay.
People, when it comes to humour, I think just the core message is king. The core message is key.
Yeah.
People try and put in jokes that don't necessarily make sense because they've heard a joke.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely with that. Okay, cool. I think that was a really good first BriightCast.
Yeah.
I think it was the best BriightCast we've done.
So far, yeah, me too.
So far, yeah. In fact, I'm going to make sure the next one's not as good, so it's going to stay the best one
Let's
for
go
some
the other
time.
way. Go the other way.
Obviously, this comes out every week, every Wednesday.
Download it. Don't forget those early plugs to go onto the YouTube to,
Yeah.
see what faces are making these noises.
Yeah.
And before you go over to the YouTube, make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on.
Yes.
Drop us a like
Yeah.
and a rating.
Yeah.
Make sure it's 5 stars though.
And,
Drew will tell you 1
And
star.
at this
but
stage, a positive comment.
Yeah.
Save criticism for a bit later on.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, till next time.
bye.
Bye.